Hey guys, welcome back to Consistent Code. So today's problem of the day is substrings of length k with k minus 1 distinct elements. So what we need to do in this, that we are given a string s. Now we are also given an integer k. Now we need to find out the substrings which are of length k such that they have exactly k minus 1 distinct characters. For example, if we see in this string, if we consider the first string of length k, that is length 2, then it is AB. Then AB is having exactly two distinct characters. Now, if we consider the next string, that is BC, then this is also having exactly k minus. So it is also having two distinct characters. And if we consider next string C and CC, then it is having one distinct character which is equals to k minus 1. So we get only one string which is having exactly k minus 1 distinct characters, and it is also of length k. So now how to approach this problem? So first what we will do, we will just consider the given string and we will consider only the first k characters. In this case, that will be these first two characters, and we will just map the frequency in the frequency table. So the frequency for A thus will become 1 and the frequency of B will also become 1. So let's make both of their frequency as 1, right? So now we need to check that once we are at this place, we need to check if there, in this current condition, is there any substring having uh, you know having k minus 1 distinct characters. So we find that there are k distinct characters, these two, hence we cannot consider this string. So now what we will do, we will just consider the next substring of length 2. So now we will consider this string B and C. And when we remove this first character A, we will also reduce its frequency by 1. So we will make it 0, and now and increment the frequency of next character, that is C. So that becomes a 1, right? So also we can, from the start, let's say when we were here only, then we can just create a variable count to count the number of distinct characters. Now initially we are having two distinct characters, right? Now when we move to the next part, and then what we did, we considered the next string BC. Now for that, the left character was A before, so we will decrement its frequency by 1. Now its frequency becomes 0. Now we will check if the frequency of the previous character becomes 0, we will decrement this count by 1. So this count will become 1. And also we need to increment the frequency of next character, that is C. So the frequency of C will become 1. So, and now we will also check if the frequency of next character becomes equals to 1, we need to increment the count again. So the count again becomes 2. That means now also we have two distinct characters. So that is also not equals to k minus 1. So we will consider the next string now. Now we will consider the string C and C. And now we will just decrement the frequency of the previous character, that was B, by 1. So this becomes a 0. Now as soon as the frequency of any character becomes 0, we will also decrement this count by 1. So this count also becomes 1 now. And we also need to increment the frequency of the next character which we got, which is again a C. So this becomes 2. Now since this becomes a 2, and we increment the count only when we got the frequency of next character as 1, so the count will not be incremented and it will remain 1. Now we will check if the count is equals to k minus 1, and yes, in this case it is equals to k minus 1. So we will increment our answer by 1. So our answer initially would have been 0, but now it would become 1. And now we reach the end of the string, and hence this becomes our answer. So this is the approach we are gonna follow. And now let's code this out. So first let us create a frequency table. Let's say we're naming it f. Let's consider it of size 256. We also need to create a count variable to store the distinct characters present in our string. Now what we need to do, we will just iterate from let's say, and we need to just fix two pointers. The first pointer will be at position 0, and the second pointer, let's say it's not I, it's left L, and the next right pointer will be at right will be at position k minus 1. Right, now we will just iterate for the first substring for int I is equals to L to I less than equals to R, and now we will just increment the frequencies of these characters. So we will just say f of s of I should be incremented by 1, and we will do the similar thing that if this frequency of s of I becomes equals to 1, then we are going to increment this count, because we consider this is a distinct character because it was not present, now it has came in our string. And after that we are just gonna check if after having the first substring of length k, if the number of distinct character, which is the count, if this count is equals to k minus 1, then we are gonna increment our answer by 1. And also we have to create this answer variable. Let's say initial answer is 0. Right, now we need to just use the, you can say, sliding window or two pointer approach. Okay, so what we will do, while we can say that a right pointer is less than the size of string, and let's say the size of string is n, so int n is equals to s dot size, and while r, so now while r is less than n, what we are gonna do, we will be just doing what we discussed before. So while r plus 1, why? Because initially, we are putting our L at A and right at B. So at the end, it should be like L at this C and R at this C. So R plus 1 should be less than N for the next iteration. And now we will just decrement the frequency of left pointer, that is f of s of L, by 1, and also increment the value of L, and we also need to decrement the value of r s of r plus 1 by 1. Right, and now we need to check if the count of the left pointer, so we will not be decrementing this L right now, neither we will be incrementing the value of r. First we will check that if the frequency of this s of L becomes it can say a 0, that means we got one distinct character eliminated, and we will decrement the count by 1. And otherwise we also need to check that if the frequency of the next character which we are choosing, that is r plus 1, becomes a 1, in that case we will be incrementing the count. And at the end we just need to check that if the count becomes equals to k minus 1, obviously we are gonna increment our answer by 1. And now we are just gonna increment r by 1 and decrement L, and also increment L. So L and R are both incremented to the right. And once this loop is over, we should be having our answer. So we can simply return our answer. And one more thing is that when we need to put this if condition of checking if f of SL becoming 0 just after we decrement the frequency of f of SL, because there can be a case when that frequency will be incremented again in this condition, and this condition will not be satisfied after this. So let me give you an example. Suppose you have a string like r, e, e, and r. So initially you are having, let's say the frequency of R is 1 minute. So let us consider that count was initially 0, and now when we consider this string of length 3, then what we will do, we will just let the count be initially 2, because we are having in this string two distinct characters. So we will consider frequency of R as 1 in this case, and frequency of E as 2, and count is equals to 2 because there are only two distinct character R and E. Now when we will move on to this string, so if we put this condition after this line, line number 30, then what happens, we will just check, or first we will decrement the frequency of R, right? So we decremented the frequency of R to 0, and then if we do not check it now here, and we check this condition after this line number 30, then we have already incremented this R again to 1. So f of R will never be 0 if we check this after line number 30. So we need to check just after we decremented its frequency. Okay, so having said that, let's submit this code. And we have solved this problem successfully, and I hope you liked the explanation. And if you did so, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow with the next problem of the day.